What is up, and welcome to Not Another CFB Pod, Week 9, brought to you by insert sponsor here. As you can see, guys, we don't have a Squilly here today. It kind of sucks. He had some work stuff come up that he couldn't get out of. He thought he could, but best wishes to him. I do have his picks, so I will give them out at the end. But let's get after it. Let's get started. Last week, I didn't even want to talk about it, guys. I lost so much money on OU.
Just full disclosure, Squilly, I'm taking the team total. I'm taking first quarter, first half, full game, taking it all. OU all the way. This is a really good spot for them.
Oh my God. I am never going to financially recover from this.
It's just not even funny. They hurt my soul. It's probably the last time I'm going to bet on OU, just because, number one, it's not a good thing to bet on, the team that you're a fan of in general. But it came back to bite me this week very badly. I've had good luck with it in the past, so I thought I could get away with it, but it came back and bit me. Let's get to the picks. Starting it off hot, 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern Time. This is Florida State at Clemson. I'm taking Florida State plus 10. Clemson, I'm just not a believer. They lost to Pitt last week. Florida State, on the other hand, has won 3 in a row. I don't believe in Florida State. I don't think they could win this game necessarily. But Clemson's one of the only teams in Power 5, I think there's 2 of them, Missouri and Clemson, that haven't covered a spread all season long. So give me Florida State plus 10 here. I like what they're doing. They're running the ball. Their defensive line is actually pretty good. The only thing Clemson's really been able to do this season is run the ball. I think Florida State's going to be able to stop that. On the other hand, Clemson already said that this week is a quarterback competition for them. All the spots on offense are open. Who knows what we're going to get offensively from them? I don't know what the scene in Death Valley is going to be like. I know those Clemson fans are fairly loyal, but they also haven't had, 3 losses at this stage in the season in a long, long time. So very interested in that one. Florida State plus 10. Also in that same time slot, this is Minnesota at Northwestern. I like the Minnesota Golden Gophers minus 7.5. Wish I could get that number at 7 even, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. Love Tanner Morgan just as a veteran quarterback. I'm not just going to tell you that he's going to blow Northwestern secondary off the field. He's just not that type of quarterback. He's really not that good. But I don't expect him to come in there and make a bunch of mistakes either. What Minnesota does well right now is run the ball. They're on their 3rd and 4th string running back. We wish we still had Mo Ibrahim back there running the ball. But to their credit, Minnesota's still averaging over 200 yards a game on the ground, 210 to be exact. And then if you flip the coin and look at Northwestern's defense, they're giving up 218 on the ground. Minnesota's going to have a big advantage on the trenches, both offensively and defensively. I think they're going to push this terrible Northwestern offense around and get the ball right back to that offense. They're going to grind and grind and grind. It's not going to be a pretty game. You may want to watch we got a couple other 2:30 games to watch. Watch those instead of this one, but this is in the bank. Minnesota Golden Gophers minus 7.5. Next, we are going to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That's right, Georgia, Florida, big time game. I'm taking the Gators plus 14 here. I think that's just simply too many points. I know Squilly's on this as well. I'm sure he'll maybe talk about it on Twitter or something like that. I know he likes this spread too, and he's kind of a Georgia guy. I think 14 points is a lot. In fact, 14.5 is what I saw it at, so that's what we'll give out. Get that extra hook on there. I think that's going to be fine. I saw SP Plus has this as like a 7-point game, so having that additional touchdown plus is going to be really nice. Talked to a Florida guy this week. Shout out to Rhett. It seems like the quarterback Anthony Richardson's going to be getting a lot more burn, and that's what we want. If we're going to be cheering on Florida, we need him to be in there at quarterback. He's just kind of a bigger physical guy. I actually think he throws the ball a little bit better as well than Emory Jones. So we want our guy Richardson in the game. We obviously have talked about Georgia time and time again on this podcast. Can't say enough about them. Think they're a really good team. But in a rivalry game, getting 2 touchdowns and some against Florida, who's coming off a bye week. Listen, their week before that, it was very disappointing. They lost to a bad LSU team. It was on the road. But now they've had a week to kind of gather stuff together. What I'm hoping is they took that week and said, hey, Richardson, you're going to get a lot more of the ball. You're going to get a lot more snaps. Hoping that was an opportunity for them to really get this offense in gear. I think they can score some points on this Georgia defense and put pressure on that Georgia offense that hasn't had pressure on it really all year. So let's go Gators plus 14.5. All right. Next, we're going to the 3 o'clock slot. This is kind of that in-between weird slot. This is a game that's in the weeds. I'm not going to lie about it. This is the under 72.5. Charlotte, Western Kentucky. There's nothing I can really say. These offenses are fine, especially Western Kentucky. I think their offense is darn good with Bailey Zappi. He's a transfer. He's been slinging the rock around for them. Charlotte, on the other hand, their offense is really, it's good, but it's not great. And when you see a number as high as 72, you need both teams scoring. You need, both teams getting touchdowns when they do get in the red zone. Last week, Charlotte only able to get 9 points against FAU. And FAU, they're a solid defensive team, but they're no, elite program. So 72.5, it's a very high number. I think we'll be just fine here. I believe SP Plus had this at like 66 or 65. So we can have an explosive game and still not hit this number. I think Charlotte's offense has kind of taken a pretty big step back the last couple weeks. And even if you look at Western Kentucky, they scored 34 against FIU, but FIU has really not a great defense. You'd expect a few more points from them than that. So give me this under 72.5. All right, next, we're going with a big throwback. It's one that we haven't went with in a while. UTEP at Florida Atlantic. We're taking the UTEP Miners. We're slinging the pickaxe. Plus 11. Listen, UTEP is one of those teams that typically they're not good, but this year they're 6-1. Now they've had a bit of a soft schedule. I'm not going to lie about that, but the one thing they do well is they run the football. FAU, on the other hand, seem to be a little soft against the run. I think that UTEP will control some clock in this game, limited possessions. Again, we're getting that 11 number. I think I locked this in at 12.5, but that number's not out there anymore, so I wanted to give out 11. But that's more than a touchdown and a field goal in a game that I think is really going to be slogged down and slowed down. FAU coming off a big win on the road at Charlotte last week. Maybe this is a bit of a hangover spot. Typically when they play UTEP, it's not a big game. It's like whatever. This year, UTEP can play a little bit. I think they're going to control the clock, and that defense that UTEP has is pretty darn solid. I like the Miners plus 11 here. Let's go picks up. And for our last pick, this is one that I love. This is SMU at Houston. We're going over 62. I think this goes way over that number. Tanner Mordecai on offense for SMU. Been slinging the rock around all season long. Love what he's done. On the other side of the ball, Houston Cougars. They've had some really nice offensive performances, and SMU's defense is not that great. I think Houston's going to have no problem. This is going to be a track meet. It's turf. It's going to be good weather. It's a night game. Over conditions. That's all I'm going to say. Tanner Mordecai slinging the rock around. Not a lot of turnovers. Neither one of these defenses is any bit elite. We need touchdowns when we get down in the red zone, but I think we can get those. So give me this over 62. It's a good number. It's good conditions for an over. Let's go points. Okay, quickly I want to go through Squilly's picks. He's not here again. It stinks, but he did send me his picks, so I want to give him out on the show because I think they're pretty solid. I like him. He's got Coastal Carolina minus 17.5. We've been pretty big on the Chaunts. They let us down last week. That sucked, but this could be a big bounce back opportunity for them. The number's not too crazy. They can cover that. Then he's got Michigan State plus 4, obviously at home against Michigan. Like I said, he's also on Florida plus 14. He also likes the over in the Michigan State game. He likes Pitt minus 9. Pitt's been great this year. We've talked extensively about that offense, about Kenny Pickett. He's starting to become a Heisman favorite. He's creeping up those boards. Minus 9, not a ton of points. Pitt Panthers. Lastly, he's got Wake in the first half. It's around 9.5 if you can find it there. Wake scored 70 points last week at Army. Nobody expected that. I think the total for the full game was like 52. I had a guy in my DMs that actually played at Wake, and he was like, yeah, I think this goes under. I'm talking to some guys, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if he ended up betting it or not, but both teams hit that over. But that goes without saying. Wake's offense is pretty darn good, and their defense is usually solid. Didn't have a great Saturday last week. Wake first half. Okay, guys, I guess that wraps up week 9 of Not Another CFB Pod. Again, we don't have a presenting sponsor, so if somebody wants to step up, I'm sipping on some sugar-free Red Bull here in the cup. If they want to step up and sponsor us, we would not be upset with that at all. I know Squilly and I both are big F1 fans. We could sit in maybe Max Verstappen's car. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead and sponsor us. Why not? Again, I want to say a big shout out to everybody out there who's listening. Just got done listening to some of the Coda Cappers podcast, specifically the Gambling Feud podcast. And this last episode, they gave me a big shout out. I was on there several weeks back to give out some picks and didn't do too hot. But they had some really nice things to say about me. So I want to give a big shout out to those guys and all the Coda Cappers as well. Anyone out there listening, I appreciate you. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast when they cooperate. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Let's get some winners. We love the board this week. It's a very exciting week of college football. So let's go.